The goal of the video is to establish a platform that we can use to share information to other school districts and other communities about what equity and funding in the Rural Schools Alliance does. We'd like to engage everybody in a conversation across the state about the way that we should be funding our schools in the state of Wisconsin and reforming the funding mechanism for public schools.
I always say they sparked the flame in me that'll never burn out. So that's what really got me going. It took one time, one person, one teacher to tell me that I could do something. And that's where I am today. 4 years ago, I wouldn't think I'd be sitting right here right now.
I want to be a math and science teacher. One of my teachers here inspired me to be a math and science teacher, and I think that's great to look at that teacher and say, you're the one that made me want to be who I'm going to be someday.
There's always a worry that you may think, yeah, the program that you're in right now probably could not be there when you come back the next year because of the fundings, or that it's not getting the money that it needs to keep going.
I have a younger sister, and I'm afraid she might not get to develop in the same way I did if certain programs would be cut. Because I really found who I was in sports and in band and chorus.
I think that would be a pretty rough and scary thought to think that, the activities that we love, that we like to do, just kind of gets, just taken away from us, and that's just something not to look forward to, and just something we could hope that doesn't happen.
We need to provide every child with educational opportunities to empower them to be the best citizen, the best person that they can be. And that's the purpose of education, is to show kids what's possible for the future. And we're not doing that, right? We're locking specific kids into a very narrow view of life just by virtue of where they're born and where they live. So it's more than unfair. It's unjust and it's unconstitutional.
I don't necessarily think that there is equity in funding at this time. I do think that if you're from a wealthier neighborhood, you may not necessarily have the need, whereas I think of Green Bay School District as a district that need more money, given the diversity and the need of the kids that are in that school district, and to have to do with less is it's devastating.
We shouldn't be driven by the zip code that we live in. Our children should not be educated that way. Our children should be educated the same. Even though we don't have the businesses that is putting that state aid higher or the levy tax higher than it is, we still, our kids should not be the one. Our students should not suffer because of that.
Things have changed a lot since the original idea of putting a equalization aid formula together. Over the years, it's been manipulated and massaged and tweaked and twisted to the point now where I would say the funding formula that we have in place now is actually more of a disequaling type of system than it is a truly equalizing system.
When we look at our constitutional responsibilities as a school board member, we need to really remember that we have to give a fair and equitable as possible education to these kids. Because if we don't, who will? And at some point we have to be able to stand up and say, this is as far as we can go. We've done a really good job as school board members and superintendents and all those involved with education trying to implement what's been given to us.
We have great school board members and we have great administrators who have been forced to do more with less. And the question is going to become now, what are we going to do with the cumulative effect of this continual defunding and attacking of public education. It's not going to work out well for kids. I think the other moral imperative that we have to understand is that we need to want for all kids what we want for our own kids.
Some districts are able to provide a significant amount of opportunities for their students. Others are scrambling just to provide the basics. It goes to the fact that our funding formulas, as it currently operates, is broken, and it needs to be fixed so that no matter where children are living in our state, they have the same opportunity for a high-level education.
The problem is the disequalizing revenue streams that districts have. Some have access to significantly more money per student than others. That has been the case since 1993. We have not been able to keep up with inflation. The revenue caps have not been adjusted to keep up with inflation. And the funding formulas since 1993 have really been mathematically flawed. It's impossible to keep up with inflation when you're not getting inflationary increases per student.
The formula itself, equalization aid formula, is like Robin Hood. It takes money in and it distributes it in a way that those districts and those children that need the revenues receive the revenues. And the levy credit works in the opposite way, or what I would call reverse Robin Hood. It takes money in from everybody in terms of income taxes and sales tax, and distributes it not based upon need, but based upon wealth. The more you have, the more you get. And I think that's the negative impact of the levy credit.
The last 2 budget cycles have really cut state aid to public education. You also have this effect that has amplified that, which is you're also decreasing aid to municipalities, local funding support from the state of Wisconsin, just for local government to function. So those districts are left with a couple problems. First of all, there's a revenue cap that is imposed by the legislature. The second thing is they can only exceed that by going to referendum, going to the taxpayers to ask for more money.
It's unfair to our taxpayers. While the state support has decreased, and we have actually had to increase our local property taxes just to maintain some of the things that the state was providing in the past. And the decrease in special education aid, the decrease in general aid has caused our taxpayers to have to pay more. And that alone causes conflict within a school district. As we have less students and we have more parents within our district that do not have students, they don't understand why their taxes are going up significantly and why the state is not supporting it.
It's like a train wreck. This can't go on without the whole process falling apart. And it's happening at different speeds in different school districts. The more rural you are, the faster and more pronounced the issue is. But it is going to happen to every school district in the state except the zero-aided districts, which are funded 100% locally. And it is, I think, the most important issue facing the state right now.